Good morning and welcome. This is an analysis for Toy Story 3, and because you have a friend in me, friends let friends know that there are spoilers ahead. So, if you haven't seen Toy Story 3 already, you may wish to watch that first and then come back to this video afterwards and let me know what you think then. Alright, so in this analysis, what I'm going to be talking about is Lotso hugging bear. Specifically, I want to talk about his descent into anger and how it's potentially could have been prevented, or if not prevented, it certainly didn't have to go as far as it did. Okay, so first let's go over Lotso's story, Lotso's backstory. So as I said, he's a hugging bear. So his purpose is to hug, to give and receive affection. That was his whole purpose, his whole reason for being created, or his whole reason for living, if you will. So when he is left behind and then subsequently replaced by Daisy, his whole purpose for existence is taken away from him. Now, as a typical behavior trait, the qualities that we see in others tend to be a reflection of what we see in ourselves. So as Lotso sees himself as this affection-giving bear, this affection-giving and affection-receiving bear, his perception of others would be similar. So when he says she replaced us, he knows it's just him. But because his perception extends to others, he sees himself as this affection given and receiving bear. So he sees others as affection given and receiving. So when that affection is replaced for him, he sees that be as a replacement for all of them. So he knows it's just him, but perception extends to others around him. Now from that, we can see where things started to go wrong for Lotso, but ultimately the film does make him out to be the bad guy. And to be fair, by the end of the film, he pretty much is. So we rejoice when we see that he gets his comeuppance when he is strapped to the front of the lorry, doomed to a life of never giving or receiving affection ever again. But as I said, it either could have been prevented, or at the very least, it didn't have to go as far as it did. Now first, let's look at Woody. Now, as there was a reference made to Toy Story 2 in the film when Jessie says this Emily all over again, I'm just going to go over that story briefly. Jessie was once owned by a little girl called Emily, and as Emily grew up, she neglected Jessie more and more and more until eventually she donated her, leaving Jessie to feel abandoned by her kid. Now, when Woody hears this story, he's touched by it and understands why Jessie doesn't want to go back into storage and would prefer to go to the museum. So he's had experience with abandonment, or more specifically stories of abandonment, and seen how it affects toys. Now Woody, after leaving the sunny side, trying to get back to Andy's house, he is with the Bonnie's toys, and they tell him, and that's where Chuckles tells him the story of Lotso about how he was replaced by their kid Daisy. Now they meet at the dumpster, and at that point, Woody could have shown some understanding that abandonment can lead to these feelings of anger. He could show understanding of that as he had some experience in that field. However, he tried to use the story against him. So rather than showing that he understood, he pushes him further into his descent into anger. Also, Chuckles, who was there when they saw that Daisy had replaced Lotso, and Lotso remarking she replaced us. And now at that point, Chuckles could have shown some understanding that he's upset. Let's try to see how we can resolve it. However, instead of that, he singles out Lotso by saying, "No, she replaced you." So for this toy, whose whole purpose is to give and receive affection, and feeling like his whole existence, his whole reason for existence has just been taken away from him, just been made void, to be singled out like that just sends him deeper into his anger. And even when Chuckles was telling the story to Woody, he used the words, "He used to be a good toy," as if he was in control of all the things that's happened to him. Now, none of this justifies Lotso's behavior. Most, if not all of us at one time or another, have been through feelings of neglect, loneliness, or abandonment. But there's certain things that we may have, support from friends or family, or just certain beliefs within ourselves. Lotso clearly didn't have that. So what do you do? What do you do when your entire purpose for existence has been taken away from you and you have no support? What do you do? what do you do? Lotso's actions, although deplorable, were really just to assure that he doesn't go through those feelings again. So after they arrive at Sunnyside, his motivation isn't to keep the other toys down, but to keep himself up, so that he can always give and receive affection, so that he can always fulfill his purpose. But in doing so, he becomes this evil, two-faced overlord. However, Chuckles could have shown Lotso that he can still give and receive affection. Woody could have shown Lotso that he understood where he was coming from and empathized with his plight, but neither of them did. Toy Story 3 is art imitating life. It's a reflection of how we treat people in society who don't have the same foundations and supports that many of us do. I mean, sure, we might help if they're in some immediate danger, perhaps just to show how good we are. But when it comes to looking at root causes, how we can potentially prevent these from becoming issues, when it comes to looking at how can we identify those who may need a little extra help, that's where it often falls apart. Toy Story 3 doesn't challenge our current perceptions on good guys and bad guys. It just perpetuates it. So that is my analysis for Toy Story 3, but before I end this video, just a few more things I'd like to mention. First of all, Woody is an asshole. Now, at the beginning of the film, when Andy is deciding to take some of the toys to college, Woody to college and the other toys going to put in the attic. Now, the mums mistakes the toys in the garbage bag for garbage. Woody sees that and then he tries to save them and so on. Now, at that point, they think that they were garbage and they want to go to the daycare instead rather than be thrown out. And Woody's like, no, we're going to put you in the attic. What about what they want? What about what Buzz wants, what Jesse wants, what Slinky wants? Maybe they don't want to sit in the attic. Maybe they want to go to the daycare and be played with there. Now at this point, bear in mind that they don't know the daycare is run by this evil dictator bear, right? They think it's going to be great. And then they get there and it looks great and everything's fantastic. And then Woody's like, okay, well, I'm going to go home now. And Buzz tries to shake his hand and he just completely blanks him, completely just, tips his hat, walks off. Rude, unnecessary. No need for that. No need for that. Someone who's supposed to be your friend, absolutely despicable behavior on Woody's part. I mentioned before that Woody could have shown compassion to Lotso when he confronted him at the dustbin, at the bins. Didn't at all. He knew his story, he knew why he was the way he was, but completely just tried to use it against him. Arsehole. Another thing I want to point out is Andy's complete lack of awareness. Now, Andy is a college student, or rather he's about to go to college, so awareness is something that's going to come in handy when you are studying for the finals and so on. Now, at the end of the film, when he's giving out the toys to Bonnie, and he hands out Jesse and Slinky and so on, he gives out Buzz and he says, these toys are special to me. Now, notice that he was surprised when he found that Woody was still left in the box. He didn't notice after digging through all the toys, taking them out one by one, looking at the toys, looking at everything else. He did not notice Woody was still left in the box. It was Bonnie that noticed that Woody was still left in the box. Furthermore, Bonnie noticed from a much lower position than Andy was sitting. How do you not notice that one last toy in the box? And it was a pretty big toy compared to the size of the box. Woody took up a good size of the box. So certainly when he took out Buzz as the last toy, how did you not know Woody was still in that box? And you're about to go to college. Really? You're about to, actually, you probably fit right in, come to think of it. So yeah, never mind. And another thing, Buzz was always the better toy. I mean, he's got a laser. Well, I mean, it's a little blinky light, but still, he's got that. He can light up. He's stronger. He can dance. He speaks Spanish. Much better. What can Woody do? Exactly, nothing. Alright, but that is my analysis for Toy Story 3. If you agree or if you disagree, let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, click the like button. If you didn't like it, then click the dislike button. Next film I plan on doing is Body of Lies, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't already so you can be updated when that goes live. Fantastic film, by the way. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Brilliant film. But that is all for now, so thank you for watching, and until next time, it's just a dinosaur down the street. Just a dinosaur.